All right, so continuing here with elucidating this fourth way idea of identification and de-identifying. And just in a little break here we both realized something, that it's important for the viewer, listeners to be aware of that. So, these are not our ideas, yeah? These are not our ideas. We didn't come up with them. However, we have devoted our life and like decades of trying to understand them and trying to apply them, and we have verified them to a large degree. So we took these ideas and tested them, and we saw that, whoa, yeah, it is true, and it works towards recovery of more happiness, yeah? So they are our ideas, they are alive in us. We are not just regurgitating what Gurdjieff or Ouspensky said, yeah? That's important. So coming back to, okay, let's be more practical here and see how noticing identification. So in the fourth way, they talk about that, well, there are all these many eyes being emanated by the four lower centers, and the task is to observe the eyes, yeah? The task is to do whatever it takes to remind oneself to be more consciously present in the present and observe what's in the present, yeah? Self-observation, observing the eyes. If we are not aware of the eyes, we are the eyes. If we are not observe the machine, we become the machine, yeah? So what Peter said in the previous episode, this idea that, okay, identification takes the form of imagination when there's not enough consciousness. Meaning we are driving, we are walking, we are brushing our teeth, and there is this torpor, no attention, and then there's this like the veil, the Sufis will call it the veils, the veil of daydreaming, and the voices, and the memories, and the rehashing, and the what if I shouldn't have said that, well, they think of me, and then constantly come, multiple, one barely has the time to end, that the other one begins, So just this state of imagination that is identifying with thoughts, identifying with random thoughts. The side effect of that is that we are missing out. I mean, we are missing out on the beauty of the leaves, of the mountain, we are missing out. They say we have children, and instead of looking at them and enjoying them or enjoying our food, we are not enjoying it. We are half asleep to it and somewhere else. Yeah, so big diminishment of enjoyment. But this is the least of the problem. As we are like this, not remembering ourselves, there are some thoughts that are very pernicious, that if we are not aware of them, if we don't catch them, we add them, and then it's really painful, like self-pity thoughts, like victim thoughts, poor me, self-deprecating thoughts, berating oneself thoughts, being nasty to oneself, and also these thoughts that, now from my clinical experience, everybody that I see, including myself, we have some type of thoughts which is more than a thought, is a limiting belief system. It's a belief about me, where me is bad. Me, the imaginary me, yeah? Now, you see, consciousness fell asleep and is identified with thought and some feeling and some, due to unlovingness in childhood and due to being raised in this abnormal education, which actually nourishes false personality and not essence. So due to that, certain things happen in our childhood, and the child consciousness, our essence, interpreted when we were 6 or 7, oh, daddy left because of me. Oh, daddy and mommy, they are fighting because of me. If I were a better little girl, daddy wouldn't have left. They were beating me because obviously I'm rotten. That's what the child thinks. Yeah. So these kind of interpretations of reality, they form this very pernicious thoughts, which in psychotherapy will be called like, which can be called pain body thoughts, or core material thoughts, like I'm unlovable, I'm unworthy, there's something wrong with me, I can't be myself. Everybody, they have it. And this is like, it's like two layers of lies. You know, there are many layers of lies. First of all, there's the lie that consciousness is the body and the mind. Yeah. And then the second lie is that consciousness is now unlovable. Yeah. Consciousness is in a nightmare state, believing that is a separate thing that is not good enough. You see? So all of this happened just for lack of awareness, lack of self-knowledge. So with my clients, even if they may not be interested in the fourth way or awakening, the way to help them out, to have less suffering, is I'm teaching them how to get more aware, to catch those tricky, painful thoughts, and gradually through certain exploration, investigation, to realize that this thought that says, I'm stuck, or this thought that says, I'm a bad person, this thought is not me, and also this thought is not true. You know, it doesn't refer to the real I, that which is aware. Yeah. So this is some explanation of, all of these deficiency identities, that people come to therapists all the time. They are a result already of identification. And as a way to heal them, there's no way around it but to become more aware of them and de-identify with them, and some other processes to loosen them up, to see it's false.
Because even the part of us that is saying that is not me, that is also still in the loop of I. That is not consciousness. Consciousness can be aware of that part also, saying this is not me. Who is that that's saying this is not me? Is also a feeling of I, which is not consciousness is aware even of that. If you're doing, let's say, therapy on yourself, are you conscious? Is consciousness conscious of itself while Peter is doing some kind of therapy on himself, let's say? So it's important, this idea of this loop. We think there are so many subtle ways that consciousness gets identified with the mind, with the body, with thoughts, with emotions. And we're just trying to give some examples today of how to observe this in more obvious ways. And the more you see the obvious ways, the more you start to see the more nuanced shapes that the ego takes in the name of consciousness. The beauty of this is, however, it's always possible to see this in ourselves. And that which is seeing it is consciousness, or closer to consciousness. And it doesn't say anything. Consciousness does not say, I am remembering myself. I am seeing this in myself. I need to, because there's the other side of what you were describing, Mihai. There's now, in fact, my observation is we live in an age now, there's more of a proliferation of people having negative thoughts about themselves. I'm not sure if this is true, but it seems to me this is true. Maybe because of social media and the internet and the phone, I don't know, but people are having more difficulty with negative thinking, negative thoughts about themselves. There's also at the other end of the spectrum an excess of self-aggrandizement. I am incredible. I'm amazing. You see this in sports now. If you look at any sport, anytime any athlete does one little thing well, they have a celebration of all of their own. I am amazing. I just made this amazing shot, or I did and they don't keep in mind the whole game or the whole match or the whole. It's just in that moment, I am so wonderful. And it's false. It's imagination. It's false personality. It's the ego blowing itself up in a positive way versus imploding itself in a negative way. It's exactly the same phenomenon. And it's all based on identification. It doesn't matter if it takes positive or negative form. It's all identification. And the more you see this now, for example, in the sports world, the more ridiculous it seems. Where they do these primal screams, you know, they make 1 point and they do some primal scream, or they run down the field, or they beg on the crowd, and they do all these things. It's foolhardy ego on display, and people don't even realize that. They think it's me, it's I, and I am wonderful. Meanwhile, other people, it's also foolhardy display. I'm terrible. I'm unlovable. I'm not. That's also foolhardy personality, imaginary I.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like one of the teachers that we both like, David Hawkins, he was saying that one is juicing it. There's the ego juice one gets either through, and I totally agree with you. There's the deflated sense of me, which is false personality. Yeah, so consciousness is identified as false personality, as being deficient or not good enough, or poor me, or not good me. As a collapsed sense of imaginary self. And then some other people have like an inflated sense of an imaginary self, where the imaginary me is now, I'm better, I know better, I know better, I'm better than you guys don't know. Arrogance, superiority. Yeah, that's interesting, Peter, because I guess the people with but it's all the same. It's all the same kind of the same lower dimension of confusion, self-confusion and self-forgetfulness.
It's the formation of I, a sense of I, either principally in the negative halves of centers or the positive halves of centers. And what's interesting is neither of them lasts. It's not a permanent thing. Even people who are feel very low on themselves, about themselves, they have their moments where they forget completely about that. Maybe they're brushing their teeth, maybe they're eating cereal,
Yeah.
maybe they're and it's gone until they oh no, I'm terrible. Then they have to cling to it again. And similarly, the people who think so highly of themselves in a false way, I promise you, when they close the door and they're by themselves, they have some low moments. They have some fear. They have some doubts. None of these things exist on their own as a permanent, complete phenomenon. They all turn against themselves at some point, become their opposite, even for a little while. This makes it more confusing. And again, this is just the loop of I.
Yeah. And usually the people who have more deflated sense of identity. Oh yeah, I lost the I with David Hawkins. He was saying that there is a juice, there's a payoff of feeling that I've been wrong. There's a payoff of being the biggest victim. There's the payoff and juice of being weak and incapable in order to get love and affection from other people, or the payoff of juice, ego juice of poor me. There's more me now, you know? And usually deficiency identity comes to therapy, yeah. Inflated identity usually doesn't come to therapy. Maybe goes into politics or becomes a spiritual teacher or something. So, but yeah, I noticed in myself both of them. When I was younger, I had more inflated identity, and I truly verify what Peter said, that yeah, I got this, and I'm so cool. That doesn't last long, you know. It's like a facade. Yeah.